I don't want to watch the little Tay video. New Patrickcc. Oh, Dave Chappelle will never
Good
stop.
comedians will make you laugh. The best comedians will make you laugh at things you are not supposed to laugh at. Iconic comedians will transcend the punchlines, challenge societal norms, transgress established boundaries, and continue to share their thoughts despite an uproar of negative criticism. Dave Chappelle is an iconic comedian, but he did not get there easily. There have been numerous attempts to silence Dave, whether it was a heckler, an angry journalist, or a multi-billion-dollar organization, but Dave was never willing to compromise his integrity. Not for one man, not for $1. His big break in Hollywood was when Universal Pictures bought a movie Dave and Neil Brennan wrote called Half-Baked. It's a silly stoner comedy reminiscent of Jay and Silent Bob that wasn't a huge hit, but the movie did gross $17 million against a $7 million budget and has become a cult classic since. 24-year-old
Yeah, Neil Brennan also carried in that situation. I do agree with the assessment that Dave Chappelle is an iconic comedian. Ultimately, his older work is standalone, and that will not change regardless of what his new comedy has devolved into. But new Dave Chappelle certainly, I think, puts a gigantic mark, a stain on his old work even and his legacy.
Dave wasn't fully happy with the way the film came out, but he was extremely proud to have his movie on the big screen at such a young age.
And for the record, the irony here is that this has like virtually nothing. Oh, thanks, Dad. This is. Ironic because new Dave. I'm not looking at new Dave and talking about it on the basis of like how problematic his commentary is. Like his commentary is always going to be problematic. He's a fucking comedian. There's always going to be lines that are being crossed. Baba gerek yok, gerek yok. Baba gerek yok. Böyle yiyeceğim, çok güzel. My criticisms of Dave Chappelle do not revolve around him being problematic. That's a separate criticism that I have. My criticisms of Dave Chappelle almost always revolve around the level of comedy he puts out nowadays.
He started pitching a television show to various networks. Fox was interested, but they worried the show casted too many black people. More specifically, they thought the female star of the show wasn't funny and they wanted Dave to recast her to a white actress. Dave simply denied, because this particular sitcom was based on his life, and he grew up in an all-black household. A few days after that meeting, Variety posted an article that claimed he was playing the race card. Dave said, "This network built itself on black viewers, and what they're saying is white people are narcissistic. They don't want to watch black people. They want to watch themselves. It tells every black artist no matter what you do, you need whites to succeed." Fox claims they were making a light suggestion to add a different perspective, a point of view that allows a larger audience to appreciate it. Most young people in the industry would just accept the request of a major corporation, but Dave was unashamed of his decision and was willing to tell the world exactly how he felt. "I felt like I was beaten up and completely degraded," he said. "It's disgusting, and it made me want to vomit." It pretty much took Dave one bad experience to know this whole Hollywood thing is overrated. To make matters worse, his father was on his deathbed. While traveling back and forth from LA to Ohio, he realized how much he loved the small town of Yellow Springs. He describes it as something so real in contrast to Hollywood's powerful illusion. Dave purchased a farm out in the town with 3,000 people because he can focus on his family and friends. He can have real, genuine interactions with people who aren't trying to gain something from him. Sadly, his father passed away at the young age of 59. William David Chappelle III was a veteran, college professor, and an organizer in the civil rights movement in Ohio. Although young Dave lost the man he would go to for all of his advice, he knew that his father would want him to stand up and speak out for what he thought was right. Dave was not going to let anyone walk all over him, because Comedy Central was about to try their best at controlling him. Dave was convinced that after his father had passed, he was done with the show business, and he was just going to do stand-up. His first hour-long comedy special,
Chat, understand that he's currently talking about old Dave, okay? Like, I don't know what Patrick's opinion on Dave Chappelle will be by the end of this video, but this does track with what Dave Chappelle said and did back then. It even tracks with certain remnants of Dave Chappelle's ideology even to this day, specifically as it pertains to issues that revolve around maybe not queer black culture, or queer black folk in general, but instead the broader issues that cishet black men face in American society. Okay?
Killing Them Softly, released on HBO, and many consider this to be one of the best stand-up specials of all time. People knew Dave was a generational talent. He knew it. He could not give up on this dream. He started writing a variety show with various skits and sketches that were personal and relatable to the common man. He knew he had something big, and after a few years in 2003, he decided to pitch a new show titled The Chappelle Show, which got picked up by Comedy Central for 2 seasons. The Chappelle Show is regarded by many as the greatest sketch comedy show in history. Dave would open the show performing stand-up to a live audience and then shift the joke into a pre-recorded sketch. All of his bits were rooted in a great deal of irony, basically conveying the exact opposite of what you would expect, like this employee training video that teaches you exactly how to get fired.
Getting to work.
First of all, never show up on time.
He created characters that would earn die-hard fan bases, like Tyrone Biggums, who was, well, pretty much just a crackhead, or Clayton Bigsby, the world.
My controversial take is Tyrone Biggums was his weakest character, and Clayton Bigsby was his best. It was just not good at all.
World's only black white supremacist due to his blindness.
Well, the irony, of course, is that, you know, Clayton Bigsby is no longer a simple character made up in someone's mind, but instead there are plenty of like actual Clayton Bigsbys out there in the real world, out and about.
He didn't know that he was actually black. Sometimes his characters were just over-exaggerated versions of real people, like Lil Jon or Rick James.
I'm Rick James. Enjoy yourself.
Edgy isn't even a good enough word to describe Dave's humor. He was way over the edge with some of these bits. The most shocking of them all was perhaps the Hard R family, a rich suburban white family whose last name is the racial slur.
Morning, niggas. Why, it's Clifton, our colored milk man. And it's my favorite family to deliver milk to. The niggas.
The very first episode of Chappelle's Show tackled an extremely risky subject, basically becoming a mission statement for the program. If you don't like this, you won't like anything else. Something like The Chappelle Show will never air on TV ever again, but at the time, people loved it. Now, even in 2004, the mainstream media was against shocking, vulgar, and risky entertainment, but they had a little tolerance. The solution back then was put it on after hours, like after 9 p.m. when the kids are asleep. The Chappelle Show averaged 3.1 million viewers per episode in 2004, just shy of Saturday Night Live's 3.7 million. However, Dave's impact on culture at that time far exceeded SNL. He was a superstar comedian at a time where comedy was missing superstars. Dave's show saved Comedy Central from failing and made them a ton of money. Chappelle Show Season 2 Uncensored has broken both the first day and 7-day sales records for TV on DVD, with close to 500,000 units sold on its May 24th release date and more than 1.2 million units sold in its first week out in the market. Chappelle Show Season 1 Uncensored, released last year, is the best-selling TV on DVD title with close to 3 million copies sold.
Fun HasanAbi fact: I owned the entire collection on UMDs for my PSP. Some deep HasanAbi lore for you.
Because of the first 2 seasons' undeniable success, Comedy Central offered Dave a whopping $50 million for a new season, but instead, he walked away. Like many people who are new to the entertainment industry, Dave signed a contract that he didn't fully understand. Of course, he hired a lawyer, but ultimately he knew this show was great for his career and he would make good money. What could possibly go wrong? Dave says he never got paid for the Chappelle show because the contract said Comedy Central didn't have to pay him. This contract also said that they have the exclusive right to use the name and likeness of the artist in perpetuity throughout the universe in any and all media known or invented in the future. On top of them literally owning him, Dave just straight up didn't like the fame and attention. He just liked comedy. But even that was getting ruined. One night while he was performing in Sacramento, California, he walked off the stage after berating his audience for constantly shouting, "I'm Rick James, bitch," which had become a catchphrase from the popular Rick James sketch on his show. Stand-up is the most important thing I do, and because I'm on TV, you make it hard for me to do it, he said. The show is ruining my life, Chappelle told the crowd. Besides requiring him to work 20 hours a day, it has made him a star, which has resulted in the inability of fans to treat him as an individual. So when Comedy Central offered him $50 million, it came with stipulations. He had to get approvals on certain jokes. He didn't have full creative control, and they worked him like a dog. It wasn't worth the money. So one day, he just walked off set and moved to South Africa, desperate to get as far away from Hollywood as possible. In response, Comedy Central ran a smear campaign on him, saying that he was crazy and on drugs. In May 2005, Comedy Central began promoting the anticipated debut of Chappelle's Show Season 3. One day later, the channel announced that the production on the show had been unexpectedly suspended.
The 50 million contract first, this is a pattern. Okay. Dave Chappelle walked away from a $50 million contract due to integrity in the other direction. Steven Crowder walked away from a $50 million contract due to integrity for being able to perform the most racist tasks he possibly could without scrutiny. And the reality is, Steven Crowder actually did that to publicize his own independent projects. Whereas the YouTuber we're watching is Patrickcc. The title of the video is Dave Chappelle Will Never Stop. Okay.
Suspended. Then 1 week later, every news outlet reported that Chappelle had checked into a mental health facility in South Africa, perpetuating the narrative that he was mentally unstable. Some reports said he was even smoking crack.
I was freaked out, man, with the fame thing and being called crazy and drug addict and all these things.
I think I'm going to have a lot of feedback on the second half of this video, especially due to my personal knowledge.
Scared me. You know, just being treated that way. Like I'm not a person anymore. You say this shit about me in front of my children, and you know, who the f*** do these people think they are? And they don't know what happened. You know,
Dave's exit from the $50 million deal was one of the most profound statements in pop culture history. He was already mega famous, but ironically, this exit made him even more famous. One 2006 article said, "These days, if Dave Chappelle merely catches a cold, it winds up in the media or on the internet." He fired back, saying he was not on drugs and he was not crazy. In fact, he was the most level-headed person out there, denying money for his sanity. "I'm not in a mental facility. Everyone around me says, 'You're a genius, you're great, that's your voice.' But I'm not sure they're right." You hear so many...
You know what's really funny about this? The reason why many people thought that Dave Chappelle was crazy is because in that very moment, he engaged in an anti-capitalist act. Like, he chose to put the money aside for his own personal sanity. That's why when you analyze people's actions There's a video echo, bro. There's a video echo. It's because I increased the stupid fucking audio of the video, and now you might be hearing it from my goddamn microphone. Please shut the fuck up. Audio pedophiles, shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Wait, how is that not socialist? Isn't that a good thing to do for one's own mouth? No, I wouldn't say it's socialist, but it does fly in the face of everything you learn and everything you see under capitalist dogma. Okay? Because everything you're conditioned, everything you're primed towards is basically, you know, maximizing your revenue. So when someone says, no, I'm not doing that because I want to preserve my mental health, people look at you and go, oh, you must be fucking nuts. Like, you must be out of your mind. There's something going on that's insane.
What happened to Dave Chappelle? He's here today to talk about it in his first television interview. Please welcome.
Oprah also criticized him, apparently.
And in the middle of the first season,
Tipping.
Anyway, but let's get back to this.
Many voices jockeying for position in your mind that you want to make sure you hear your own voice. So I figured, let me just cut myself off from everybody. Take a minute and pull a Flintstone. Stop a speeding car by using my bare feet as the brakes. Hollywood just couldn't fathom that someone who became famous would choose to abandon that lifestyle. He did make a short reappearance at the 48th Grammy Awards where he received a standing ovation. Right in front of the entire industry, Dave told them how he didn't want to be there.
Would you turn down contracts for mainstream media opportunities for creative control? Yes, I have. Quite literally.
the only thing
Nowhere near as like lucrative as Dave Chappelle, obviously, but I also personally do that on a daily basis with my commentary.
harder than leaving show business is coming back.
Later that evening, he went to an after-party held at the home of the legendary artist Prince. Instead of talking to Mariah Carey, Common, or industry powerhouses, he sat in a chair on the back patio, only conversing with people who wanted to. He looks like he is hiding from his peers, hiding from the attention, hiding from the part of himself that is a major star. Dave said, "This ain't really my thing." After that night, Dave realized it was time to disappear, and he did just that. And nobody really heard from him for many years.
What did you do for those 10 years?
It was a humble existence. I had young children. I was raising my kids. I was living a suburban life. And then every once in a while, I get this feeling like I'm the funniest guy. I got to get out there. And I would like fly to Denver, do a week in Denver or something. And that's when you would read I was doing like these 6-hour shows. I performed like I was desperate for it. I loved it.
Yeah.
He rode across the country on a motorcycle, focused on raising his children, maintained good standing relationships with his friends. He lived an extremely normal life, just like me and most of you watching this video. Dave would only make selective appearances from 2005 to 2016. He had a few random stand-up performances here and there. One of them even broke a world record. A 6-hour and 7-minute set at the Laugh Factory became the longest comedic performance in history. He performed at the Oddball Comedy Tour in 2013, doing large arenas around the country. In Hartford, Connecticut, he was booed and heckled during his entire set, until he left the stage saying this crowd was the worst one he had seen in his whole life. This bomb made Dave realize he was rusty, and he needed to get back to being funny again. So in 2014, he made a grand comeback by headlining 10 nights at New York City's iconic Radio City Music Hall. The buzz surrounding his return grew as he was interviewed on various late-night talk shows. Dave rocked the sold-out crowds every single night, selling over 60,000 tickets in total. These unforgettable shows marked his official return to the spotlight after his prolonged absence. Dave achieved a legendary status just from his Comedy Central show and one stand-up special. The comedy community as a whole was honored to have him back. He hosted Saturday Night Live during election weekend when Trump won in 2016.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff that's happening here.
Donald Trump, he did it. He's our president. I feel bad saying it. I'm staying in a Trump hotel right now. I don't know if he's gonna make a good president, but he makes a swell hotel suite, I'm gonna tell you that. Housekeeping comes in the morning, cleans my room, and I just, hey, good morning, housekeeping. Grab a big handful of pussy, say, you know. Boss said it was okay.
Citizens feared that the new president was going to destroy this country. Dave was skeptical, but ended his monologue with this message.
I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm going to give him a chance. And we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too. Thank you very much.
Netflix announced that they would be hosting Dave for 3 specials, in which he would be receiving $20 million for each one. In a way, this can be seen as making up for the trouble he went through with Comedy Central. The Age of Spin was released on Netflix in 2017 and was met with good reviews. Months later, while headlining at Radio City Music Hall, he made multiple jokes about the transgender community. One in specific talks about Trump banning
Chat. And this is where you see something that is not so complex. What's about to happen here for a lot of people will come across like an ideological difference or someone becoming a fucking reactionary, which he certainly did, right? But what many people fail to consider is that the tinder that sparked this fire obviously still relates to, transphobia in mainstream, how normalized it is, but instead is, in my opinion, pure ego. I'm Dave Chappelle. I cast aside $50 million. I am, at this moment, the greatest comedian of all time. How dare you tell me not to tackle this issue? I'm the guy who's made a living tackling complex issues and making light of it. And that is where I think something just flipped in his fucking brain. Just completely fucking flipped in his brain. It was that partnered with the endless sea of like older comedians from his generation, people that he looked up to, people that he like grew up with, people that he became popular with, all constantly fucking complaining about cancel culture, which was like the hackiest, the absolute hackiest bits you could have ever arrived at. Which made him just hyper focus on it.
Trans people from serving in the US military, in which Dave pokes fun and says that ISIS would be horrified to see trans women storming at them. Chappelle says he doesn't understand trans people, but doesn't think that disqualifies them from being a human being that deserves a life with dignity and happiness and respect. He ended by arguing that sometimes he thinks the only reason all of us are talking about transgenders is because white men want to do it. If it was just black people and Mexicans like, hey y'all, we feel like girls inside, they'd be like, shut up, no one asked you how you felt. Dave
Is that what he said? There's another word in there.
received a lot of criticism, with many citing that it doesn't matter he is joking.
So the irony is there is one level of truth in what he's talking about with respect to, and this is something that I don't think he actually has used yet, but I heard him when he was workshopping for a potential new special immediately after his last one was over, where he talks about James Baldwin. I've talked about this before on stream. You might be familiar. Where like Baldwin was black first and queer second. This is a very complex issue that he's trying to tackle, but in many respects, he is almost one of the worst people to tackle it because of the fact that tackling complex issues such as this one requires understanding and empathy. Okay? There is truth to the argument that, yes, there are white trans women, that transness is something that transcends beyond racial boundaries. That part is correct. The anger that he feels as a black man, and the envy that he feels as a black man, where he feels as though these silly little attempts of Hollywood trying to make it seem like they are way more accepting of trans people has gotten to his mind, and it makes him feel like they skipped black men and moved on. Okay? It doesn't help that he also doesn't consider trans people to be valid or real for the most part. While simultaneously not valuing their humanity, as he has shown time and time again. So that's why I say it's a complex issue where someone with his capabilities should be able to make mincemeat out of and genuinely cover it in a hilarious way. That's why there are even jokes that Dave Chappelle has made that are kind of funny about trans people, beyond pussy being an example that I've used before. Unfortunately, however, the Beyond Meat pussy is sandwiched in between him fucking like hyping up J.K. Rowling and being a TERF. Do you know what I mean? So like it doesn't hit as good. So basically, he just said he don't deny their humanity. Okay, dude. The fuck does that mean? He also said he's a TERF. Not even a joke at that point. What do you mean? Like, a lot of people, I don't think you understand. A lot of racist people, for example, say that they're not racist. Does that mean that they're actually not racist? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I mean, I'm sorry. Dave Chappelle has done zero to garner any kind of goodwill in this field. And in this field alone. I am isolating this as a separate thing, okay? I need you to understand. Come on now.
Because they are rooted in bigotry and overgeneralizations, or they say he shouldn't joke about a topic he is uneducated on. This back and forth just perpetuated more jokes and commentary from Dave. It became a bulk of his material.
You know who hates me the most? The transgender community.
Despite the controversy, his comeback was receiving all the praise. In 2017, Chappelle received a Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album for his first two specials, The Age of Spin and Deep in the Heart of Texas. And later that year,
This is when it became the hackiest bit of all time. His inability to let go and move on, paired up with his fucking ego, turned him into a monster. But worse than being transphobic, in my opinion, I'm saying this jokingly, was that he was hacky as fuck. You are one of the most iconic comedians of all time. You are supposed to be the George Carlin, Richard Pryor of our generation. How the fuck are you doing attack helicopter jokes that people on 4chan were doing 5 years, 6 years prior? The moment that you as a comedian go from trying to make people laugh to trying to make people clap and applaud you is the moment that you've lost. Okay? It's done. Only made worse by the fact that, obviously, because he was so insanely fucking wealthy at this point and so far removed from normal existence, that his skills of observation withered away. That's it. It completely withered away. He just lost touch with the average existence. His stand-up acts have become him responding to hate mail. He's getting paid millions to reply to mean tweets. I know. I've seen it. Like, I'm sure, I don't know if Patrick will get to it, but there's a lot more that I want to discuss about this, but at this stage in his life, he's like, oh, I'm being canceled. I'm being canceled by the alphabet mafia. And it's like, brother, Hollywood is gay as fuck. And they're giving you like almost $100 million. And also on top of that, you're getting Emmys and shit. Like, what are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You're being canceled? What do you mean? You're not being canceled. That's how little people technically give a shit about trans people, that you can like get away with saying whatever the fuck you want about trans people and you'll be rewarded nonstop for it. Gave up comedy powers. If you don't kill your ego, you kill your comedy. Yeah. I mean, Bill Burr is a great example of someone who has, for one reason or another, okay, stayed in touch with what made him funny. I don't know how the fuck he did it. He's also very wealthy and very successful, but he is phenomenally talented, and if anything, has gotten literally sharper in his commentary over the years. I think, yes, I know this is a big Bill Burr, this is a very pro Bill Burr community. Yes, I know it's probably his wife, okay? I know. Most likely. I know. Bill Burr also a big Pitbull fan. Not the musician. Not Dale. It was originally Patrice O'Neal, but then his wife. All right, let's continue.
Year would go on to receive an Emmy Award and another Grammy for Outstanding Variety Special for Equanimity. He also won the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, but it was in 2019 where the backlash reached new heights. Sticks and Stones released on Netflix in 2019, and Dave didn't hold back on this one. Me Too, gun control, opioid crisis, cancel culture, and of course the transgender community. He covered every hot button topic in one special.
The funniest part about it is almost every other aspect of this, with the exception of cancel culture, stands the test of time. You start seeing it, like, slowly but surely, his entire stand-up starts suffering. The aspects that are removed from cancel culture and trans issues are still pretty decent. But the more he leans into that, like, how dare you call me out? The fuck do you know about comedy? I'm Dave fucking Chappelle. The more the rest of his work starts suffering too.
Prices, cancel culture, and of course the transgender community. He covered every hot button topic in one special. Sticks and Stones marks a shift. This performance felt way more like a piece of social commentary rather than stand-up comedy, at least in the first half. Now I think this goes without saying, but comedy is extremely nuanced. Cherry-picking clips and bits can often remove the necessary context that sells.
You said the whole thing was unfunny at the time. You said you were offended at how unfunny it was. Are you sure? I haven't even said that about his latest work. You're most likely talking about aspects of it. You're most likely talking about aspects of it that pertain to exactly what I'm saying. You definitely did. I was there. Source. Crack pipe.
A joke. NBC said that today's context-free Twitter culture is preventing Dave from thriving. You're either fighting President Donald Trump or you're a MAGA apologist. You're either believe all women or you're anti-Me Too. And that black and white world is not one in which Dave Chappelle has ever operated, particularly now. Many people read headlines and tweets, then form opinions without actually digesting the material. However, even those who did fully digest the special still were not impressed. Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all. money, fame, influence, without much having to answer to anyone. Forbes chimed in with, Dave Chappelle's Sticks and Stones tries too hard to offend. Comedians have always made jokes about current societal standards and political climates. Discussing societal issues mixed in with quips and bits make their performances relatable, but not too serious. Dave and many people in defense of comedy argue that nothing is off limits when it comes to jokes, but opposers pick and choose what is allowed to be joked about. At this point,
Yeah, nothing is off limits. It's true, 100%. I agree with that. Unless you're not funny, in which case you're fucking cooked. And for me, because I understand the sheer amount of fucking willpower, courage that it takes to go out and bomb in front of a massive fucking crowd for an entire year until you can build a tight five and hopefully build an entire set so that you can shape a narrative and put together a comedy special. I think I give a lot of leeway for people personally whenever they do bomb and it comes across crazy. I've talked about this before as well. Like, for example, and this is important for people to understand, when you fucking film people, when they're at like the Comedy Cellar or whatever, right? And they're not actually, this is not their best material. It's not what you're supposed to see. It's not the final product. He's just testing something out. And in that moment, maybe let's say you're going off on a tangent and it doesn't hit. Okay? You're going off on a tangent and it doesn't hit at all. Filming that and posting it as though this like says something about your worldview is really, really stupid. Because what he's doing in that situation is bombing and learning that that material is not good. There's no way to craft an entire special's worth of jokes without bombing like that. And a lot of people, especially during like the 2016 era, which was probably the absolute worst fucking era for comedy in general. Okay? And it came in the tail end of the Obama administration, where people were just like comedy policing endlessly and looking at like aspects of humor and basically unwinding it, which is always or taking one form of comedy, stand-up comedy in a private setting, and writing it out on a fucking BuzzFeed article is always going to rob it of what makes it funny. Okay? That era absolutely fucking nuked comedy and made people's brains fry in their analysis of jokes. 25,000 people watching a guy that shits on the working class while he sits in his $1 million house contributing nothing to the world. I've given more to the working class in the United States of America or even across the world than you will ever imagine. I'm just going to let you know on that front. I don't think you care about the working class. You're probably sitting in a fucking Connecticut suburb in your, Wall Street finance executive dad's house, LARPing as though you give a single shred of a shit about the working class. Don't come for me like that. Okay? Don't do that. Dumb bitch. Twitter-brained idiot. The fuck have you done for the working class? Suck my cock. Anyway. Where were we? What was I talking about? Oh, the 2016, like, build up to the 2016 era of comedy, which basically gave us the logical solution, the logical final conclusion of like the anti-comedy narrative, Hannah Gadsby and their special Nanette, which was a TED Talk against comedy in general. and it was widely praised. And at the time, as a person who appreciates, loves comedy, I felt like I was going crazy. However, the irony is that Dave Chappelle in 2023, due to how far his brain broke in the Nanette era of anti-comedy comedy, turned around and became Nanette on the other direction. That's all he does. His latest hits are basically transphobic Nanette. You're not there to laugh. You're not there to think. You're not there to go, wow, I never thought about it this way. You're there to go, I agree with you. Thank you so much. I agree. That's it. That's not fucking comedy. That's a goddamn TED Talk. Okay? Reminder for chat. You're allowed to like Nanette even if Hasan doesn't lol. Yes, exactly. Every time I bring up Nanette and my criticisms of it, people fucking lose their shit.
Point, we're re-entering a familiar cycle. Chappelle releases a special on Netflix.
It is similar to Ricky Gervais, yes. It's identical to Ricky Gervais.
He says something incendiary, it's quoted back to him in a headline, and Chappelle reacts to the criticism in another Netflix special. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing. A comedian is not absolved from criticism, and critics don't have to think someone is funny. This cycle is a product of free speech, and any sane human understands both sides are allowed and should speak their mind. One person who knows that the most is Dave Chappelle, who boycotted his own show because he felt like it. In 2020, Viacom, the owner of The Chappelle Show, licensed the show to Netflix and HBO Max without providing Dave with any compensation and without making him aware of the deal. He was aware that it was legal in the court of law, as it was stated in the contract he signed during the show's initial negotiations, but he saw the move as unethical. In a video released by Dave titled Unforgiven, he would ask his fans to boycott the show on HBO until he was paid, citing the ethical obligations of Viacom to pay him what he was owed. Since he had such a good relationship with Netflix, he was furious they did this to him because of how badly Comedy Central treated him.
So you know what I did? I called them and I told them that this makes me feel bad. And do you want to know what they did? They agreed that they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better. That's why I with Netflix.
It's so funny because, like, Netflix is currently at the heart of the ongoing labor dispute with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA. And they could call Netflix up all day, every day and be like, this is making us feel bad. And Netflix's answer will always be, suck my fucking cock.
Dave and his fans praised Netflix for removing the show based on his feelings, but they were shocked when members of the trans community tried to get Dave's special removed because he hurt their feelings. The Closer was his 2021 Netflix special where he again made jokes about trans people, as well as anti-gay jokes and defending TERFs. He stated in the special that gender is a fact. In the special's closing moments, he tells a story about his friend Daphne Dorman, who was a trans woman and stand-up comedian, that defended Dave from criticism in his previous special, Sticks and Stones. Punching down requires you to consider yourself superior to another group. Dave Chappelle doesn't consider himself better than me in any way. He isn't punching up or punching down. He's punching lines. That's his job, and he's a master of his craft. Dave claimed that Daphne Dorman received so much hate from her own community that she died by suicide 6 days after the special. Right-wing media went into a frenzy saying the trans community are hypocrites and will destroy their own people. However, there is little evidence that supports Daphne's expiration has anything to do with hate. Back in 2019, that tweet had just 12 replies. Another tweet supporting Chappelle had 9. The Instagram post in which she declared her friendship with Chappelle doesn't have any critical replies. Comments
I mean, this is really good. This is actually really, really, really good from Patrickcc. Yes, expiration is a weird choice, okay? Is a weird choice of words, but his analysis is, oh my God. Expiration is an adequate term to use in this situation. It's an odd choice, but stop hyper focusing on one fucking word. You're missing the forest for the goddamn trees. Some of you are fucking insane, dude. You're just so geared up to get mad. Something you should probably also consider in this regard is why he's using certain words. Perhaps it has something to do with monetization on YouTube. Shut the fuck up. I'm mad anyway.
On her Facebook post announcing that she was opening for Chappelle are uniformly positive. So are the ones on Reddit after she posted about it there. She doesn't appear to have said anything on Twitter or Facebook about receiving abuse. Her side note doesn't mention bullying, nor do any of the obituaries written.
Wow, why did he censor that last word? I wonder why.
And after her death. Because of this, many people thought Dave was using someone's death to his own benefit, and the trans community were tired of Dave. Netflix employees interpreted the closer as hate speech, and 65 employees participated in a walkout in protest of the company. The protest garnered a lot of support online. However, it was generally unsuccessful because Netflix has stood behind Dave, kept his specials up, and continued to work with him in the future. Then things escalated to physical violence against Dave.
Make some noise for hip-hop history.
But I don't think that person was that person actually like a lib or something? Like, wasn't this just like a random fucking weirdo?
Isaiah Lee was the name of the suspect who later admitted why he attacked the comedian.
I identify as bisexual, and I wanted him to know what he said was triggering. I wanted him to know that next time.
That's a lib-ass tackle. I thought it was some like fucking psycho. I mean, it is psychotic to do that, for the record. Just so people understand. It is absolutely insane. And for the record, there were people in this fucking community that were celebrating that shit, even at the time, and I was fucking yelling at them.
He should consider first running his material by people it could affect.
Isaiah Lee has also been charged with attempted murder after stabbing his roommate. In a last effort to take down Dave, a venue in Minneapolis canceled a sold-out show of his hours before the doors were set to open. We believe in diverse voices and the freedom of artistic expression, but in honoring that, we lost sight of the impact this would have. The event was moved to a smaller venue in the same city and sold out 2 shows back-to-back. It seemed like the more backlash Dave got, the more it would ultimately help his career. The closer was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special. To close out the year, Dave took the stage on SNL and delivered the show's opening monologue. And yes, he faced even more controversy. Recently, Kanye West had went on an anti-Semitic rant on social media, to which Dave responded with,
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. You know, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
Despite Dave obviously disagreeing with Kanye, his jokes entertain the possibility that some of what Ye said holds an ounce of truth, which led to even more critics calling Dave anti-Semitic. He ended the...
He quite literally... That was a terrible joke. I don't even think that was that bad. I defended it at the time as well. People yelled at me again at the time as well. Specifically on the terms of it's obvious that he's saying that it's fucking ridiculous. It's obvious that it's like completely insane. It doesn't even fucking matter. Which is what he said. He quite literally said that. When he's talking about the stereotyping. The funniest part about this take, literally in this community especially, is always the idea that like he is not using the stereotyping in the very same premise. It wasn't a joke, it's a classic anti-Semitic trope. Yeah. He also happens to, in the premise, say all Italians, if you see a group of Italians, they're mobsters. And if you see a group of black people, they're gangs. I don't think Dave Chappelle believes that a grouping of black people is a gang, like actually, or a group of Italian people are actually mobsters. That's the whole point. The offensive stereotyping, especially considering that he is not saying that that is a terrifying prospect, that like Jewish people are somehow acting as a monolith and controlling media or whatever the fuck. Get mad at it all you want. It ultimately doesn't matter. You will never go on Joe Rogan. Nothing more cringe than having a more nuanced perspective and trying to describe jokes to an audience of people who will never get it and don't care and will immediately instead turn around and start attacking me. I must have some secondary reason for saying all this shit. 10 years I've been online. I've always said exactly what I mean. Always. I've said America deserved 9/11, okay? Why in the ever... I've gotten banned for saying exactly what I mean, exactly how I mean it. Time and time again, I get death threats on a fucking daily basis due to this, still to this very same day. We've banned probably 8 people even today that just wrote death threats casually in the chat. Why in the ever-loving fuck do you think I would have some ulterior motive in this circumstance to, like, hide the truth from you, like the top of the hour ad break is upon us or something, and I'm secretly actually just gearing you up to completely misdirect and serve you a 3-minute ad break and tell you that if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. For $5 or for free, of course. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and you can avoid them. You can also get gifted a sub if you are lucky. You said, nah, that ain't right, using your death threats like that. Yeah, that's how little it fucking matters to me. And the first aspect of that, before the fucking segue, I do absolutely believe, I'm telling you, like, why the fuck would I feel the need to lie to you for some other secondary reason that you are now just now figuring out? I hate how cynical even long-term community, especially long-term community members, are when it comes to this kind of stuff, where like you can't just like watch and listen to what I have to say and go, I might have a disagreement with Hasan here, but I'm going to hear him out because he's done right by me for a very long time. That's why I've been a supporter of him for a very long time. You know what I mean? Instead of saying that like a normal person, you immediately go, what is the real reason? Oh, shit. What? Hold on. I think Jeff is here. Fuck. So on my way, what's your address again? Here, founded by memory and pure instinct. Shit. All right, let's finish this video while I go open the door.
Monologue with a message.
Jeff Whittick is
It shouldn't be this scary to talk about anything. It's making my job incredibly difficult. And to be honest with you, I'm getting sick of talking to a crowd like this.
Thank you, Lero Bang, Lily the Chaos God, Blue Wizard, and Preston for the win for the 5 gifted subs.
I love you to death, and I thank you for your support. And I hope they don't take anything away from me. Whoever they are.
Some people think that Dave's legacy has been tainted by hardcore transphobia, or trying too hard to be controversial. Even though his comedy has always towed the line as to what is socially acceptable, Dave has benefited greatly from free speech. He has gained hundreds of millions of dollars and diehard fans around the world.
Yeah, bro, he's not a free speech, he is not a fucking free speech advocate when he's just like constantly complaining like an old man yelling at clouds about trans people. I do not agree with that assessment. I will never agree with that assessment. I think that assessment is ridiculous. 100%. He's not doing that. He's not doing that because he's a free speech advocate. He's doing that because he is egoed out the wazoo. His brain cannot comprehend people telling him he's wrong. There's no better example of this than bringing Elon Musk on stage and having Elon Musk like get booed by a crowd and then him turning around and yelling at his paid fans. It's so fucking stupid. Yo, what up? It's so dumb. Oh yeah, this is my dog. Yeah, bro, I just got done. I'm trying to fucking, cut. I'm trying to be as peeled as you, brother. I hurt my neck as well, and not even doing jujitsu. So, bro,
you got a bad neck right now too?
Yeah, I got a bad neck as well. Hold on, I'm gonna put this away. Pee real quick. You can. Yeah, we'll move this chair and we'll use this one instead. And Dave Chappelle and what happened to his comedy.
Rants now?
Yeah, how he just rants like an old. Yeah, he instead of
That's
like
what you do basically here.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And I would never say I'm a comedian. I don't even think I'm funny. I am accidentally funny from time to time, but that's it.
Got it when you want to be. When you want to turn it on, you start talking about the fucking far right and the fringe left. You know all that
Yeah,
shit.
you
You
look
talk
good.
about liberals. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good. I look
You
fresh.
too. Well, you're gonna be looking real good. Once
I
I'm
look like
done.
shit right now. It's your fucking fault, dude. All right, hold on.
Dog's great.
Yeah, no, she's
Perfect dog.
gotten real good.
Wow. She's that video where they're hitting all the toys and the dog waits for the hockey puck. You should pull that up. What should I do, guys? Should I fuck prank him and mess his hair up? No, I'm all right. I'll have some of this nicotine gum, though. Why does he chew that nicotine gum? Give him a reverse mohawk? You know what? I'm sick of him calling me for haircuts all the time, so let's just fucking sabotage it today. I have to deal. Guys, I'm about to sabotage his hair. Bad. Yeah, Ethan double mohawk. That's what he's getting. Talk louder. I'm talking I don't understand this. You know what? I'm just going to set up. I'm just going to cut the hair today. I'm not doing this. Talks about I don't know what you guys want to hear. Here the fucking UFC's on, and I'm here doing haircuts like I'm 16 years old again. I just want to go watch UFC. Can we play UFC and react to it instead of doing this haircut? You know what? I didn't bring all my shit today. I just brought the basics. So, I brought these two, but I didn't bring the chargers for them. So if they die, and haircut's over.
Wait, what? No, you're fucking.
It's gonna be a fun game. If they run out of battery, then
come on.
it'll be fun for the watchers.
Not the little dick homie.
And-
Working.
Yeah, they're editing.
What are you making him do? Fucking running a goddamn. Fucking enslaving his guys, dude. They can't even come out here. They're
we have a big barbershop episode that's time.
with Bryce.
Bryce Hall, yeah.
With fucking Bryce Hall. Wait, hold on. Here, I'll sit on this.
Can they hear me? Yeah, we had Bryce Hall on and we made him piss in a cup to test him for steroids, and he did it. You guys gotta watch it to see the results, but
Is this high enough?
because you know how he fucking knocked that guy out like a real boxer,
Yeah,
and he
he was-
dropped.
Watch it, but
I saw the clip.
I saw some of it. It was pretty crazy what he did. All right. Good.